Assalamu alaikum, let's explore this Islamic topic together. Hey, so you want to know about the Sufi order's secret teachings? It's a fascinating topic, and honestly, a bit tricky because secret doesn't mean hidden away in a dusty vault. Think of it more like insider knowledge, passed down through generations, often in subtle ways rather than explicitly written down. The thing is, Sufism itself is a really important part of Islamic history. It's not a separate religion, but more like a mystical branch of Islam. You know how some people read the Quran and feel a deep connection to God? A kind of direct experience? Sufism is all about cultivating that direct connection, pushing past the rituals and the rules to really feel the presence of the divine. It started pretty early on. Actually, almost as soon as Islam itself began to spread. Imagine the early days of Islam, a rapidly expanding empire. New converts from all sorts of backgrounds, different languages, different cultures. There was a need for a more personal, more intimate relationship with God, a way to reconcile the grand, sweeping pronouncements of the Quran with everyday life. That's where the Sufis stepped in. They weren't necessarily rebels, but they were definitely unconventional. They weren't always happy with the rigid interpretations of Islamic law that were becoming dominant. In some places, they looked for deeper meaning, a more experiential understanding of faith. They used music, dance, even seemingly paradoxical stories, things that weren't always considered orthodox, to help people connect with the divine. Think of Rumi, for instance, the incredibly famous Sufi poet. His poems are absolutely breathtaking. They're filled with this overwhelming passion and longing for God. They aren't dry theological treatises. They're passionate expressions of a soul yearning for union with the divine. Reading Rumi is like having a direct line to the heart of Sufism. His work alone gives you a taste of those secret teachings, not in some hidden, but in the very language of longing and surrender. Now, what are these secret teachings then? Well, there's no single, unified dogma. Think of it more as a collection of practices and philosophies, passed down within different Sufi orders. Each order, you see, had its own unique style, its own master, a sheikh, its own approach to spiritual development. A key element is the concept of *tariqa*, which means path or way. Each Sufi order represents a specific path to spiritual enlightenment. These paths often involved rigorous spiritual disciplines, meditation, prayer, contemplation, fasting, and a deep commitment to self-improvement. They weren't just about individual practice, though. Sufism is very much a community-based practice. The sheikh guides his students, the murids on their spiritual journeys, providing mentorship, guidance, and support. One of the central ideas within many Sufi orders was the concept of fana and baqa. Fana is the annihilation of the self, the losing of one's ego in the experience of the divine. It's not about ceasing to exist, but rather about transcending the limitations of the individual self to merge with the boundless reality of God. Baqa, on the other hand, is the subsequent state of being, a state of abiding in God. A continuous awareness of the divine presence. It's a profound transformation, a complete shift in perspective. These concepts were often veiled in symbolic language, stories, allegories, where the secret aspect comes in. Not in deliberate concealment, but in the way these profound ideas were shared and passed down. They weren't meant to be understood intellectually alone, they were meant to be experienced. They were the keys to unlocking that deeper, more intimate connection with the divine. Another important aspect often found in Sufi teachings is the emphasis on love, divine love. Of course, Sufis see love as the driving force of creation, the very essence of God's being. This isn't just romantic love. It's a boundless, all-encompassing love that transcends the limitations of human understanding. This love is what motivates the Sufis' journey, what guides them towards spiritual union. Over time, different Sufi orders developed, each with its own unique practices, interpretations, and rituals. Some emphasized rigorous asceticism, while others aired on more social engagement, using their influence to help the poor and needy. But the core idea always remained a relentless pursuit of a closer, more personal relationship with God, often expressed through mystical experiences and profound insights. The secret isn't about keeping knowledge hidden. It's about the deeply personal and transformative nature of the Sufi journey. The secrets aren't cryptic, but rather subtle ways of understanding and experiencing the divine. They're found in the poem, in the music, in the community, in the journey itself, a path of self-discovery, of deepening faith, and a profound experience of love and unity with the divine. It's a beautiful, complex, and ultimately deeply human story. So, what do you think? Want to dive a little deeper into some specific Sufi orders or practices? Hey, so, you wanna know about the secret teachings of the Sufi order? It's fascinating stuff, a real rabbit hole. It's not like some hidden treasure map leading to buried gold. More like a hidden path leading to, well, a deeper understanding of yourself and the divine. And it all started, believe it or not, pretty organically. Think about it, early Islam. 7th century, a whirlwind of conquest and conversion. A new religion exploding onto the scene. It was a powerful and amazing thing. This new faith, bringing this incredible message of oneness with God, Allah, and a promise of a better life. But with any big change, there's always a spectrum of responses. Some people were completely engrossed in the outward rituals, the prayers, the laws, the community. They found comfort and meaning in the structure. But there were others, the contemplative souls, the ones who felt the call to dig deeper, to explore the essence of Islam, beyond the letter of the law. These were the people who began to explore the mystical side, the inner journey towards God. These are the seeds of Sufism. Now, Sufi itself, the word itself, is a bit mysterious. Some say it comes from the wool they wore, Suf, signifying simplicity and humility. Others link it to Safa, meaning purity. Whatever the origin, the name perfectly captures the essence of what they were about. A direct, personal connection with the divine, stripping away the superficial to reach the core. These early Sufis weren't necessarily inked to form a secret society. It wasn't a planned rebellion or anything like that. It was more of a natural progression. Think of it as a small group of friends, deeply devout Muslims, sharing their experiences, their interpretations of the Quran, their personal struggles and triumphs on the path to understanding God. They'd gather, often privately, sometimes in quiet corners of mosques, sometimes under the stars, to engage in practices like *dhikr*, the remembrance of God through repetitive chants and prayers. It was all about inner transformation. You see, they saw Islam as more than just rules and regulations. It was a journey of self-discovery, of purifying the soul and bringing it closer to the divine. This involved rigorous self-discipline, intense contemplation, and a fervent pursuit of spiritual knowledge. They believed that the true path to God wasn't just found in external acts but in the inner cleansing and transformation of the heart. Their practices weren't always easily understood by everyone. Some viewed their mystical leanings with suspicion, interpreting certain rituals or practices as potentially heretical. Remember, it was a time of rapid change, and the new religion itself was still finding its feet, establishing its traditions and authority. However, these early Sufis weren't about secrecy for the sake of secrecy. The secret teachings weren't necessarily hidden away in locked vaults or encrypted scrolls. Instead, the secrecy was more about protecting the purity of the message and safeguarding the sacredness of their practices. It was a way to ensure that the deepest teachings were conveyed only to those who were truly ready to receive them, those who had the necessary spiritual maturity and commitment. They used metaphors, allegories, almost like a language, to convey profound spiritual truths, often veiled in stories and parables. This was partly a matter of practicality. Expressing such profound ideas directly could have been misunderstood or misinterpreted in a society less receptive to mystical concepts. But it was also a beautiful way of teaching, sparking the imagination and prompting deeper reflection rather than just presenting doctrine. These early Sufi masters, these spiritual guides, weren't interested in creating a hierarchical organization. There wasn't a top-down structure in place. Instead, they cultivated a close-knit community spiritual kinship, teacher-student relationships. Knowledge was passed down through a lineage, a chain of spiritual mentors guiding their students, helping them to navigate the complex path of inner transformation. This oral tradition, this passing down of wisdom from master to disciple, was crucial in the early development of Sufi thought. It allowed for flexibility and adaptation, ensuring that the teachings were relevant to different times and cons. It's a beautiful model, really. And so, the secret teachings of the Sufi order started not as a grand conspiracy, but as an intimate, personal exploration of faith. It evolved organically, shaped by the individual experiences and interpretations of those seeking a deeper connection with God. Their legacy, their insights, and their practices continue to resonate with people across cultures and centuries. A testament to the enduring power of the human spirit's quest for meaning and connection. It's a journey, really. And the secrets are less about hidden knowledge and more about the journey of self-discovery. Okay, so we've talked about the early days of Sufism, right? The beautiful the emphasis on direct experience of God. But now things get really interesting. We're diving into the heart of the matter, the middle chapters of this whole secret teachings thing. And let me tell you, secret doesn't mean hidden in a dusty vault somewhere. It means a deeper understanding, a more nuanced approach to the core beliefs. Think about it. Sufism isn't just another branch of Islam. It's a mystical path within Islam. It's like, if Islam is the grand, overarching structure of a magnificent cathedral, Sufism is exploring the hidden chambers, the intricate carvings, the whispered secrets within the walls. They're both fundamentally connected, but Sufism delves into the experiential, the emotional, the deeply personal journey to connect with the divine. In these middle chapters, we start to see the development of different Sufi orders. Imagine it like different schools of thought, each with its own unique teacher, its own particular emphasis, its own style of practice. Some orders add heavily on music and the whirling dervishes are a perfect example. Their mesmerizing dance a form of prayer and meditation, a way to achieve a state of ecstatic union with God. It's not about the show. It's about using the dance, the rhythm, the music as tools to transcend the everyday and reach a higher state of consciousness. Other orders add on more rigorous asceticism. Think long periods of fasting, intense meditation, often living in isolation to strip away distractions and purely on the spiritual quest. They were seeking purification, both of the body and the soul, believing that by shedding earthly attachments they could draw closer to God. It's a very different approach, right? But both are equally valid within the Sufi tradition. And where it gets fascinating, these different orders weren't necessarily always in perfect harmony. Think of it like a family with many strong-willed members. Sometimes they agreed, sometimes they disagreed, sometimes they even clashed. There were internal debates about the best path, the correct interpretation of certain mystical experiences, even arguments about who held the most legitimate lineage back to the Prophet Muhammad. This isn't to say it was all conflict, far from it. But these internal dialogues shaped the development of Sufism, refining and enriching its teachings over centuries. One key element explored in these middle chapters is the concept of *tariqa*, often translated as path or way. Each Sufi order had its own tariqa, a specific set of practices, rituals, and spiritual disciplines designed to guide aspirants on their journey towards God. This journey wasn't a solitary one, though. It was guided by a sheikh, a spiritual master who acted as a mentor, a guide, and of wisdom. The relationship between the sheikh and the murid, student, was crucial, a cornerstone of the Sufi experience. It was a deeply personal and transformative relationship, built on trust, devotion, and mutual respect. These middle chapters also delve deeper into the rich symbolism and allegorical language prevalent in Sufi teachings. We're not just talking about literal interpretations here. Sufis often use parables, and stories to convey profound spiritual truths that are difficult to express in plain language. A seemingly simple story about a shepherd and his flock might conceal a complex allegory about a soul's journey towards God, the shepherd representing the sheikh, the flock the murids, and the pasture the divine presence. You need to look beyond the surface. You need to engage with the symbolism. You need to actively participate in deciphering the meaning. It's an active, engaging practice of spiritual exploration. Think of the concept of fana, the annihilation of the self, often misunderstood. It doesn't mean self-destruction. It means transcending the ego, the false sense of self that separates us from God. It's about recognizing our true nature as part of the divine, losing the illusion of separateness. And then there's Baqa, the eternal abiding in God, the ultimate goal of the Sufi journey. So, the middle chapters of these secret teachings aren't really about some hidden knowledge withheld from the unworthy. They are about the evolution of a dynamic, diverse spiritual path, about the development of different approaches, about the internal struggles and triumphs, the disagreements and harmonies that ultimately shaped Sufism into what it is today. It's a story of human beings striving for closeness to God, using a variety of methods, sometimes stumbling, sometimes soaring, but always moving forward on their individual paths, guided by their teachers and their own inner compass. It's a beautiful, complex, and deeply human story. And that, my friend, is why it's so captivating. Hey, so, we've been diving into the fascinating world of Sufism, right? And we've talked about how their teachings, especially the secret ones, aren't really about hidden, forbidden knowledge, but more about deeply personal, experiential understanding of the divine. Think of it less like a secret society and more like a really intense, personalized spiritual journey. Now, as we reach the end, And it's important to say there isn't a definitive end. More a culmination or perhaps a continuous unfolding, the way the Sufi order's secret teachings concluded, or rather, integrated into the Sufi's life, was a truly unique thing. It wasn't a grand finale, more a profound integration into their being. Remember we discussed the different Sufi orders? The Chishti, the Naqshbandi, the Qadiri, each had their own unique pathways, their own specific practices and rituals, all pointing towards the same essential goal: union with God. Fana Filer, and the secret teachings, things often shared only between a master, a sheikh, and a disciple, a murid, in a deeply personal, trust-based relationship, varied from order to order. But the common thread across all these lineages was this journey of self-discovery and self-annihilation, in a spiritual sense, not literally. It wasn't about suppressing the self, but rather transcending the ego, allowing the divine light to shine through. Imagine it like polishing a mirror. You're not destroying the mirror. You're removing the grime to reveal the brilliant reflection beneath. So, how did this journey conclude? Well, it didn't really conclude in the way a book ends. For many Sufis, the ultimate goal was baqa, remaining after fana. Fana is that mystical experience of losing oneself in the divine, that total surrender and obliteration of the ego. But baqa is the subsequent state of being, a state of permanent union with God, where the individual retains their unique identity but is utterly permeated by the divine. Think of it like a drop of water merging with the ocean. It loses its individual form, but its essence remains, forever part of the vastness. The path to *baqa, the conclusion of the secret teachings, wasn't something you simply reached and then were done. It was an ongoing, a lifelong journey of deepening spiritual awareness, constant self-reflection, and unwavering devotion. It involved rigorous spiritual disciplines, dhikr, remembrance of God, meditation, muraqabah, and selfless service, khidmat. The sheikh played a crucial role in guiding the murid through this journey. The secret teachings weren't just theoretical knowledge passed down in a classroom. They were experiential, passed on through intimate guidance, personal stories, and symbolic teachings that often resonated on a deep, intuitive level. Think of it less like a book and more like a personal mentorship. The sheikh used parables, and even seemingly simple everyday actions to impart profound spiritual insights. Often, these secret teachings involved interpreting verses from the Quran and Hadith in a deeply symbolic and mystical way, uncovering hidden meanings, allegories, and spiritual depths that weren't apparent to the casual reader. It wasn't about rejecting the literal interpretations, but rather augmenting them with a layer of profound spiritual understanding. The Sufi way isn't a path of simple answers or easy resolutions. It's a challenging but rewarding path of self-discovery and surrender. The conclusion wasn't a destination, but a transformation, a gradual, profound shift in consciousness, a complete change in perspective and way of being. It was about developing a heart filled with compassion, a mind open to the divine, and a life dedicated to service. Think about Rumi, one of the most celebrated Sufi poets. His poem isn't just about philosophical ideas. It's a direct expression of his mystical experiences, his journey towards fana and baqa. His poems are, in a sense, a testament to the culmination of the Sufi path, the ongoing integration of the divine into his very being. His words, his life, became the embodiment of the secret teachings, a living testament to the transformative power of Sufism. So, The Sufi order's secret teachings didn't end with a final exam or a graduation ceremony. They concluded, or perhaps more accurately, continued, in the very life and being of the Sufi. It was a lifelong of spiritual growth, a journey of self-discovery that permeated every aspect of their existence, ultimately culminating in a life lived in profound union with the divine. It's a journey that continues to inspire and resonate with millions around the world, even today. It's a story that continues to unfold, a beautiful and deeply personal journey to God's embrace. So, what does the Sufi order's secret teachings teach Muslims today? It's a really fascinating question, isn't it? Because it's not like there's one single, neatly packaged book you can pick up. It's more like a whole tapes woven from centuries of experience, and personal journeys. Think about it. Sufism itself isn't a separate sect of Islam, not like Sunni or Shia. It's more of a mystical path within Islam. Imagine it as a different way of approaching the core beliefs, the oneness of God, the importance of the Prophet Muhammad, the striving for a righteous life. Sufis, they take that core and delve deeper, exploring it through music, meditation, and a really intense inner transformation. The secret teachings, well, the word secret is a little misleading. It's not like they were hidden in a vault guarded by shadowy figures. It's more about the deeply personal and experiential nature of the teachings. They're not easily understood just by reading a book, they're meant to be lived. Think of it like learning to play the guitar. You can read a book about chords and scales, but you really learn by playing, practicing, and feeling the music. Sufi teachings are similar, they're about cultivating an inner connection with God. And that takes a lifetime of dedication. Historically, Sufi orders, or tariqas, emerged quite early in Islamic history. Imagine the vastness of the early Islamic empire, stretching across continents, encompassing so many different cultures. Within that diversity, Sufism offered a path that resonated with people from all walks of life. Some of the most influential orders, like the Chishti, Naqshbandi, and Qadiri orders, developed their own unique practices and methods, but all shared a common goal: to achieve a closer relationship with God through spiritual practice. What did these practices entail? Well, it varied, but many involved things like *dhikr*, the repetition of God's names, often in a group setting. Picture a circle of people, softly chanting, their hearts ed on God's presence. It's incredibly powerful. Then there's Sama, Sufi music, often accompanied by whirling dervishes. The whirling isn't just a spectacle. It's a meditative practice, a way to transcend the physical and connect with the divine. The secret aspect often involved the personal guidance of a spiritual master, a sheikh. This relationship was central. The sheikh acted as a mentor, guiding the student through the stages of spiritual development, providing personalized instruction, and helping them navigate the challenges of their spiritual journey. Think of it as a deeply personal apprenticeship, a mentorship ed on the inner transformation of the individual. The teachings shared within this relationship were tailored to the individual's needs and capabilities. This personal, intimate was, and still is, considered sacred. Now, what does all this mean for Muslims today? Well, in a world that often feels fragmented and fast-paced, Sufism offers a powerful antidote. It emphasizes inner peace, compassion, and a deep sense of connection to something larger than oneself. The emphasis on self-reflection, the striving for moral excellence, and the cultivation of inner stillness, these are qualities desperately needed in our modern world. Sufi teachings help Muslims and people of other faiths to navigate the complexities of life by promoting self-awareness and a more compassionate understanding of others. The emphasis on tolerance and love for all creation. That's a profoundly important message in a world often marred by conflict and division. The emphasis on the importance of tawakkul, trust in God's plan, can be incredibly grounding in times of uncertainty. It's a reminder that even in the face of hardship, there's a deeper order, a higher purpose at work. However, it's important to understand that not all aspects of Sufism are universally accepted within Islam. Some interpretations and practices have been subject to debate over the centuries. The key is to approach it with discernment and respect for the diverse perspectives within a Muslim world. So, in short, the secret teachings of the Sufi orders are not so much about hidden knowledge, but about a deeply personal and experiential journey of spiritual growth. It's about cultivating a direct relationship with God, fostering inner peace, and living a life of compassion and service to others. It's a path that resonates with many Muslims today, offering a powerful framework for navigating the challenges of modern life and deepening their connection to their faith. It's a journey of self-discovery, wrapped in centuries of wisdom and guided by the light of love. And, perhaps most importantly, it's a journey uniquely experienced by each individual who embarks on it. Goodbye, may Allah bless us all. That's our discussion for today.